Michigan had been keeping track of his case, and they were ready to act. Detectives began re-examining cold cases, unsolved murders that fit the timeline of Carl's known killings. One case in particular caught their attention: the 1979 murder of Helen Dutcher, who had been stabbed to death. A witness had seen the attack, but the investigation had never followed up on the tip. In 2004, after years of silence, the witness identified Carl Watts in a police lineup. With this new lead, Michigan authorities charged Carl with first-degree murder. In 2004, Carl was extradited from Texas to Michigan. His trial would be the beginning of the end. Carl was convicted of Helen Dutcher's murder and sentenced to life in prison. But the investigation didn't stop there. Michigan authorities linked him to over 100 murders, many of which had been dismissed as accidents or unsolved cases. But Carl remained silent. He refused to speak, offering no remorse, no explanations for his actions. His reign of terror had finally ended, but the victims whose lives he had taken were left with no closure. In September 2007, Carl Eugene Watts died of prostate cancer in prison. His death was met with little fanfare. To many, it seemed like a fitting end for a man who had evaded justice for so long. Carl never fully confessed to all of his crimes. He never showed remorse for the lives he had stolen. The victims, whose names remained unknown, would never find justice or closure. His story was one of chilling anonymity. A killer who struck without reason, without recognition, and without care. In the end, Carl Watts had slipped through the cracks of justice, and it would remain that way forever. In the late 1960s, Los Angeles was a city divided. On the surface, it sparkled with wealth, movie stars, and the promise of fame. But just blocks away from red carpets and palm trees was a stretch of streets known as Skid Row, a place most people avoided, a place that swallowed the broken and forgotten. By day, it was chaos. By night, it was worse. And then, men started dying. They were found in alleys and doorways, their throats cut so deep they were nearly decapitated. Their bodies were staged, sometimes surrounded by strange symbols drawn in chalk or smeared in blood. At first, the deaths were overlooked. These were homeless men, drifters, people the city didn't bother keeping track of. But as the body count rose, it became clear something else was happening. Someone was hunting them, and his name was Vaughn Greenwood. Vaughn Orrin Greenwood was born in 1944 in Pennsylvania. His early life was already pointed in the wrong direction. Abandoned by his parents at a young age, he was placed into a string of foster homes where he never stayed long. He bounced from one to the next, slipping through the cracks of a system that didn't know what to do with a quiet, withdrawn boy who didn't talk much and didn't connect with anyone. As a teenager, Greenwood was in constant trouble. Truancy, theft, fights. By the time he reached adulthood, he was a ghost moving between cities, never staying long, never leaving anything behind, except a growing record of petty crimes and disturbing behavior. He had no friends, no family, no future. But what no one realized was that something was festering inside him. In the mid-1960s, Greenwood was arrested in Chicago for a violent assault. Details of the crime were grim. He attacked a man with a broken bottle, seemingly unprovoked.